You're going to love this. Trust me, what you're seeing now is my normal state.
Welcome, I'm Spaghetti King, and this is my initial thoughts on Highschool DxD. Highschool DxD. So I watched this recently, and I haven't watched it for a while. I specifically put myself off of watching it because I'd seen a couple clips, and I said to myself, look, this just doesn't look appropriate for what I watch. This just doesn't look like something I can watch. Honestly, it just doesn't look like it. So a buddy of mine showed it to me. We watched it. We watched till like season 2, I believe, all the way to the end of that. So that's what I've seen. I've seen up to season 2, and I've heard it kind of like declines after that a little bit, especially around like where we're going now. I've heard it kind of declines. So I don't know. Maybe I'll watch the rest of it and then be like, yeah. You never know with the series, right? But as of what I can say of now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'll say number 1. What I suspected about the series was even worse than I thought, okay? Yeah, like I thought we were going to get basically a bunch of like jiggle physics and a bunch of like stuff like that, a bunch of teases. No, you just get nipple treatment. They just give you nipples, okay? They just give you everything, okay? They don't hold back at all. They just show naked women and they just don't care. Even in the title cards they do. Okay, so that's all there, right? Not like I haven't seen that before, it's not like I can't take it or whatever. It's not like it's just, you just kind of try and live away from that stuff, you know what I mean? It's just something that I don't really want in my life. I don't really, I try to avoid it. So it's there, and I had to get used to that, of course. Not exactly something I'm that used to, observing that much anymore. So, it was there, and I felt definitely it was kind of overdone. Granted, it's kind of like the gimmick of the series, so they kind of just decided to do it. I will say one thing is that in a lot of the fights where the girls get their like clothes ripped up and you see like their breasts full shot, I actually think that for the most part that is like alright, because realistically if you were throwing around fireballs and whatever, that stuff would just happen, you know what I mean? Like, physics do not just contort to your clothing and not getting ripped in the way you don't want them to, you know what I mean? So for me, I felt that was actually kind of like a gritty and kind of like sort of real feeling. Obviously it was done for other reasons, but I felt that it actually wasn't, in those cases, really that bad. I thought it was kind of just, yeah, this is what it is. Now, the other parts where you'll just have characters who just get naked around the MC, I thought that was too much. So I'll explain. I've explained all of those things, but I do remember the MC's name. His name is Ecossaise. It was better than I can say for Demon Slayer. Don't know his name. Still don't know his name. I just don't remember that, okay? And it's at this point where I need to make something clear when I'm talking about the characters in Highschool DxD, the plot of Highschool DxD, and I have to make clear my overall thoughts on it, where I think it ranks. Because look, there are a lot of things said from the outside looking in, and there are a lot of things said from the inside looking out about this series. I find the problem with both of them is both of them are unclear. I will say this, and I know that I'm going to get hate for this. I know people are going to find me insane for saying this. I think Highschool DxD has a better cast than Demon Slayer, most certainly. And I think the characterization of that cast is better than Demon Slayer, and I think in multiple ways the plot of Highschool DxD is better executed than the plot of Demon Slayer. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Now again, one thing to keep in mind is the fan service for me is a down point. I take away points for that. Whereas like for Demon Slayer, Kawaii Nezuko, you're getting points for that. You're getting points for Kawaii Nezuko, And Demon Slayer probably has more impact in certain plot regards. Like the beginning of Demon Slayer where the dude got like, the dude got eclipsed, okay? The dude got the Guts Eclipse Berserk treatment. Psh, right out there, and, in the beginning of Demon Slayer, he's got his whole family besides his sister wiped out. And that's intense, and that hurts. And Demon Slayer had some other good things, like the training sequence was good, but past that, I felt like the plot, in terms of the characters themselves, declined a lot. I felt like the characters themselves became much less interesting after that beginning point. I felt that was problematic. Number two, in Demon Slayer, I felt that it lacked foreshadowing in a lot of cases. I mean, his fire thing coming out against, what was his name? The guy who uses strings. We just call him Sasori. Rui, something like that. That was not foreshadowed at all. That just came out. And I didn't think it was terrible, but it was not foreshadowed. Now, Highschool DxD, on the other hand, foreshadows like everything that they do. Not everything they do, but you know what I mean. Like, the guy who is the leader of the Fallen Angels at the end of Season 2 was foreshadowed since Season 1. He was there. He just wasn't doing anything yet. But they knew he was going to be a thing. You know? And they do this multiple times throughout Highschool DxD, where they introduce a character early, and then have that character be relevant later, or introduce an idea early and have that idea be relevant later. More so than Demon Slayer, better than Demon Slayer, okay, in that regard. Better foreshadowing, and again, on the cast. So, with the Highschool DxD cast, you have like 6 mainly. You have Issei, Rias, what was his name? Kiba, although we tend to just call him Cloud Strife. And then you have, what was her name? The other girl with black hair. And then you have the Kudere girl. Her name also has a K in it. And I don't remember her name, even though she was my favorite one. Because Kudere is underrated, dude. Kudere is, like, secretly the best Dere, and it just doesn't get the treatment it deserves. But, anyway, I remember more of the main cast from Highschool DxD, and in terms of characterization for all of them, except for maybe the Kudere, all of them are better than the Demon Slayer cast. Because here's the thing with the Demon Slayer cast. The Demon Slayer cast is, you have MC, who is basically good. His characterization's good, kind of, to an extent, sort of generic, but the good thing about him is that from his loss, he just has determination to keep what he has. That's a good setup. Now, MC of Demon Slayer, Highschool DxD, the good thing about him is that there is a consistent theme of his character, which makes sense because he's a pawn thematically, symbolically, and he constantly has this idea that he's failing, that he's not doing good enough. And this is constantly reverbed throughout Highschool DxD's story and its progression. So this character is themed well. This main character is themed well. And other than that, his motivations are very clear, and they lack taste. I've said, actually, if you wanted an example of really what the Issei, how he is as a character, basically imagine a young Jiraiya. That's basically what his character is like, in the good ways and in the bad ways. But overall, I would say the MC of Demon Slayer is better than the MC of Highschool DxD, but the main cast for the rest of Highschool DxD is better than any of the rest of the Demon Slayer main cast. You have, what is his name? Inosuke, the guy with the dog head. All of the Highschool DxD people, except maybe the Kudere, better characterization, easy. Easy. They all have backstories. They all have way better and more character interaction throughout the series. And, you know, yeah. Inosuke, decent, and I like his energy, but if we're talking on a character arc basis, then he's very simple. Same thing with the Flying Thunder God. Incredibly simple character, incredibly simple motivation to him, and really a one-trick pony when it comes to not only his abilities, but also his arc. Can he become a Super Saiyan permanently, or can he not? That's the question. And if he can, I'll be happy for him. If he can't, then don't like him. Nezuko doesn't speak, so she barely has a character. She has some things, but that's around it. And that's your main Demon Slayer cast. You have a decent MC, and then you have these kind of underplayed characters beside. Whereas Highschool DxD, all the main characters, except side Kudere again, all appropriately developed, all of them. They all have good character arcs, and they all have a clear character motivation from each. Now, I did find that MC, okay, Issa. I'll just call him Issa. Okay, Issa. Like, the girl with the darker hair. I felt her liking Issei felt a bit... I felt that was a little bit forced to an extent. I felt like it could have been better if that was not done. I felt like it should have just been the nun girl and Rias, and just kept it at that as that kind of like rivalry thing. Because the question is, like, would he choose Rias because, like, she's hotter, you presume, or would he choose the nun girl because he actually has more of like a devotion to her, he actually has more of like a good faith relation with her, and, you know, honestly, on a constructive level, his relationship with Nun Girl is just simply more meaningful than anything he's gotten out of Rias. Now, Rias, here's the difference. He respects Rias a lot. He actually respects Rias a lot, but again, that's respect from like a distant sense. But she is the one who forces herself onto him, basically, by being naked around him or whatever, smooching him at the end of Season 1, although I heard that was like an anime change that was controversial, so it is what it is. And, you know, you have this element going on. Rias is actually the one pushing on Issei, not the other way around, which is what you might think, actually. And I will say, actually, that it is quite respectable that Issei is still a virgin as this goes, okay? Like, you know, dude, you've succeeded somewhere, okay? You've succeeded somewhere, you've done something right. And, you know, hey, I mean, Rias says that was her first kiss, and if that's the case, also, kind of wholesome, kind of wholesome, kind of good, though. And if that was not in the manga, then, you know, that means none. Still a virgin, good setup, okay? So, yeah. So that's pretty much what I have to say, is you have those character arcs going on, and I like all of them. Granted, I think some of them could have been done a little bit better. Like the Christian girls, like the pigtail girl and the blue hair girl. I felt like that character arc could have been done better, because I felt like... Because blue hair girl didn't tell pigtail girl that, like, God is dead. Okay? Didn't tell about that. Because she felt like she would, like, lose belief in God or whatnot. But then she learns of it later and is pretty much unaffected. Which I like. I did like that, because that's the thing. It's like, there's two perspectives on it. Which is that, number one, like, the moment I heard that as a theme, okay, God is dead, that's your story concept. What I said to myself immediately is it wouldn't stop me from believing anything God said. If God were dead, everything he said would still have been true, so I would still follow God anyway. And more on that in a bit. But what I find weird is that Blue Hair Girl then immediately becomes a demon. Just immediately. And I thought either A, that should have been more sequential, that should have taken a little bit, or B, it just shouldn't have been done. I think her leaving the Catholic Church, or whatever it is, whatever this Christian organization is, her leaving that soon I think was fine, but her just immediately going with the other demons, I thought that was too abrupt. But it was done because, number one, I would assume popularity, and number two, I felt like they wanted to like have this character in so that conflict between her and the pigtail girl would be more apparent next time you had the meeting between like the angels, fallen angels, and the devils, right? But she also tries to rape Issei in the meantime, like literally rape him, like literally force him into this like room and try and like rape him to get genetically fit children out of him, which does not seem very Christian. I mean, after we don't believe in eugenics, okay? We don't believe in eugenics. At least not forced eugenics. So that's very immoral. Why aren't you marrying him? Don't you know the process of how this is supposed to go? I mean, what happened? You say you believe in God still. Even if God is dead, don't you believe in all of God's principles? What's going on with you? But anyway. This is how it goes. But, yeah. And then you have, you know, Issei does wish for Nun Girl and the Blue Hair Girl to still be able to pray to God even though they're demons. Which is good. I do like that. And on that, I'll actually say this. I actually really like how the series talks about God. How the series covers God. Because I find a lot of series tend to be kind of... They're too on the nose. They're too on the nose with what they think. They're too on the nose either with liking God or not liking God. And in the case of anime, usually not liking God, to be honest, because it's Japan and it's not Christian. And I find that kind of annoying. Even Berserk, okay? Even Berserk, I feel, can get to that point where sometimes it's really on the nose about, like, oh, well, Catholic doctrine, burning heretics, whatnot, this kind of stuff. Now, granted, Berserk has more to say than that. Berserk has a lot more to say than that. But even in Berserk, sometimes it feels just a little on the nose. And in this series, it didn't feel on the nose at all. You know, you have demons they're demons, but some demons still believe in God still. And you have fallen angels who sometimes are worse than demons. And you have angels who sometimes kind of curse people who believe in God themselves by their own kind of misgivings. You know, and again, in a broad sense, in a non-perfect sense, you know. where Nun Girl was shamed because she could heal demons, and she decided to heal a demon once, but whether that's justified or not is debatable. I mean, in this case, they were at war, so that's basically like healing an enemy, and a demon no less, so I don't think it's necessarily unjustified, but it's a case where there's like a gray area there, and that's appreciative that you can actually think on that issue and go to yourself, what do I think? It's interesting, and that's good. That's good. That's good. They're very, broad on that topic. It's not blanket good, blanket evil, this, that. It's just simply what you think, right? In this case, the angels sometimes do wrong, the devils sometimes do wrong, the fallen angels seem to always do wrong. But that's how it goes. It's complex. Now, of course, like, this is true, and of course, if you were to believe in God, then you would say anything like this, of course, comes from man's arrogance and man's own mistakes in following God. Because man will never follow God perfectly, man will never understand God perfectly, and therefore man will make flawed decisions, sometimes evil decisions, which he may justify himself on God. He may make that statement, right? He may make that that conclusion. A lot of people arrogantly make flawed and immoral decisions and defend themselves by saying they did it by God and whatnot. A lot of people do. That's just simply true. And Highschool DxD knows that, and Highschool DxD communicates that in a very subtle and very good way. And that's just simply good. I just simply have to say good to that. I just simply have to approve of that. So, I'm not sure what else I have to say, really. The fights. The fights are alright. For the Demon Slayer comparison, again, I think the fights are around on par with Demon Slayer on a strategic sense, but Demon Slayers are much better because of budget. If they had the same budget, I think the fights in Highschool DxD would be around equal to Demon Slayer, and that's my honest opinion. So, okay, I guess I'll talk about the art and the character designs. I actually really like the character designs because when I went into it, I was very much reminded of that 2008 Code Geass kind of feel a lot. I kind of like that. Again, in that kind of intermediary, we still have kind of like that glimmer of 2D art to characters, with less of that overt CG and less of that like thin line work that you see a lot. Nowadays, you have a lot thicker lines or a lot thinner lines generally, and back then you had a bit more of that balance, and I liked that. So I liked the artwork too. Very old school for me, very classic. I love that kind of like late 2000 kind of look, very much so. I honestly think 2012 was the height of anime. But yeah, so art's fine. I mean, you have a lot of like naked women around on them, and I don't really have much to say about that. It is what it is. Maybe you want me to, but I just don't have much to say about it. I think that's it. Yeah, that's around all I have to say. So that's my initial thoughts on Highschool DxD. I do like it more than Demon Slayer. I think it's an apt comparison between them because thematically they're quite similar. I like Highschool DxD more than Demon Slayer. Call me tasteless, call me insane, whatever. This is just my honest thoughts. Look, because a lot of people, here's the problem with when they talk about Highschool DxD, is the fans will just say, the plot is good, man. It has good plot. It's good, dude. I promise it's good. They won't explain why it's good. And then people who talk down it just say, well, look at how tasteless this is. Yeah, there are some aspects of it that are kind of tasteless, but there are also other aspects of it that are actually, like, good. So, that's what I explained to you. So, it is what it is. Thank you for watching. I'm Spaghetti King. I love you all, and farewell.